evening, everyone, and welcome back to Islandish Podcast. I am your host, your girl Yams, and this episode number 17, we are here with Mistress Nikeia Watson, the owner and founder of Mammogram Access Program, better known as MAP. Let's give her a round of applause. Welcome to the show. Yay, it's a pleasure to have you. Only got the sound effect. Love it. It's a pleasure having you here with us. How do you feel, first of all?
Comfortable. I'm good.
Good. Because we're going to get straight into it. So starting off, tell them a little bit about who you are and what is MAP.
Well, my name is Nikeia Watson. I'm a wife, I'm a mother, and I'm a lifelong resident of Grand Bahama.
Mm-hmm.
So in a nutshell, that's who I am. I am the founder of MAP, and MAP has been around. We're going on our 4th year.
Wow.
We celebrate our birthday every October because that's when we launched to the public.
Mm-hmm.
And Mammogram Access Program is a nonprofit. A lot of people say it's a breast cancer organization, but it's really not.
Okay.
Our focus is more on breast health, not so much the breast cancer. We believe that if you focus on breast health and if you get the infrastructure in place in order to provide women with all the tools they need to manage their breast health, then you'll find breast cancer early. And then in that vein, all we need to do is just get you back to breast health.
Okay. So it's a program that focuses on getting access to mammograms.
Yes, that's the name of it. Why? Because that's the number one issue that we're having right now.
Okay.
So we want to tackle the big issues first. And we know this to be a fact because we're doing surveys and we're asking the public, what are the challenges that you're having with managing your breast health? And that's one of the major issues. And so then we break that down and into bite-sized portions to say, okay, why are you having an issue with accessing mammograms? And then we tackle those issues.
Okay. So would you say that your program is more research-based rather than activities-based?
The research is important.
Okay.
Because that's how you know what the patient, what the public will need.
Very true.
We try to make moves based upon what our clients say they need, so we can be more impactful. But it's very activities based.
Okay.
We do a lot of screening campaigns. We do educational sessions to make sure women know how to do their self-breast exams. They understand and know the 12 signs of breast cancer. What puts you at risk? We want to make sure that you know that the best time to have your self-breast exams, the best time to go and have your mammogram so that it's easier for you and it's a more tolerable experience.
Okay, so now let's start talking a little bit more about Mammogram Access Program and some of the things you have done in the community already, because what we definitely want our listeners and our viewers to know is some of the things that your business has done in the past 4 years and how far you've come as a business so far since you started.
Well, there's a famous saying that says a journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step.
Correct, yes.
And so the first step was actually the most hardest step to make. We did start from scratch. I was acting upon what I was seeing out in the community. We started really forming the foundation in the middle of COVID-19, which is very difficult. And of course, we all know. Yes?
Yeah, continue.
Oh, of course, we all know COVID-19 came right after Hurricane Dorian.
Right.
So there was a time when I was on the line at a local food store waiting to go inside the market in order to get my goods during COVID-19. And I ran into a former patient. I didn't recognize her, but she recognized me. I have so many patients.
Right.
She told me about her difficulties with getting a mammogram. Of course, everyone was having difficulties getting a mammogram at that time. The focus was on COVID mitigation.
Right.
But she really needed help because she had some signs and she needed someone to guide her.
Right.
Which I did. And it was at that time I kept getting this tugging in my spirit, and the word access kept coming in my head. And that's when I decided to put pen and paper together to write down what this organization would be like,
how it would look.
article is associated, what would we be about? And even now, what we're about and what we do, it evolves based upon what the public say they need.
At the time.
But at the core of it, we're here to give access to screening with a view of giving women early access to early detection and to improve our detection rate and to improve our overall mortality rate and our 5-year, 10-year, 20-year expectancy.
Okay. So is your profession in the medical field?
Yes.
Okay.
I am a mammographer by profession, by trade. I have been doing it, for 16 years.
What is that? I know people can ask, like, I don't even know what that
So,
is. Mm-hmm.
I started my career as a radiographer. Radiographers take x-rays.
Okay.
The whole profession of radiography, we are the eyes of medicine.
Okay.
So a patient will come in and they will give doctors their signs, their symptoms, what's going on. And based upon that, the doctor will say, well, I think this is happening and that is happening, but they need to investigate.
Right.
They take pictures, okay?
Yeah.
So think of a disease as a criminal in your body.
Right.
You go to the police, the doctor.
Right.
And you tell the doctor, I think something is happening. The doctor is going to take pictures of the crime scene.
Right.
And then pinpoint what's the problem.
Got you. Okay. I
So
like that analogy.
Yeah,
Okay,
we're part
okay.
of the investigation team. And there are other members of the investigation team. You have people in the lab and so on and so on. So we're just one arm of medicine that goes to investigate all the complaints of a patient.
Okay.
And then in radiography, you have different arms
Okay.
of the field. All right, so you can go in and be a CT tech and specialize in that, or forensic radiography. Those are the people that go into the morgue and they try to decipher and help the pathologist determine the cause of death.
Okay. Got you. All right.
Okay, then you have OR radiography, and you have portable radiography, and you have MRI, and you have ultrasonography, and of course,
It's a lot of things.
it's a lot.
Right.
It's a lot. It's so vast, and I don't understand why more Bahamians don't go into it. I fell in love with it when I first started the career. I really thought I would be a CT tech, and that was the thing that attracted me. But somehow, mammography just drew me in, and it was meeting the patients and just being there at the very start of that woman's journey into breast cancer diagnosis. I try my best when I take an image, not to show on my face, but I don't know if I'm showing it or just instinctively patients will ask, well, do you see anything?
Right.
Okay. And of course we can't say what we see,
Right.
but just being that first person to have that suspicion that something may be wrong and being in there with that woman drew me in, and listening to their stories, because you do have to take a history before and write these things down. Like, do you have a medical history of breast cancer in your family? And just basically hearing the names and the last names, and you know that, oh, I did someone with the last name Wilchcombe, and they had breast cancer. Oh, are you from West End, or are you from so-and-so? And you kind of connect the dots about the families who just have a strong family history, because this is a small community.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay? So just doing the genealogy in a kind of old-fashioned way, because you know that's how people
man,
back
word
in the
them
day, that they look at you and they know what family you come from.
Right. Just from your
right?
skin, your nose, you got them dimples. Right.
The features and everything. The community is so small, so it's not very difficult to pinpoint which families have that strong history, especially when so many of them come through one area. Okay, and I was working at the Ram Memorial Hospital, and a lot of the women, they depend on public service.
Right.
So we screened a lot of women in that time, and you pretty much connect the dots.
Okay. So with that being said, and with you talking a lot about the x-rays and the screenings and that side of it, what are some of the ages that you see more rampant in terms of here in Grand Bahama, being tested, trying to get tested, and also discovering that they do have whatever stage it might be of breast cancer?
Well, the recommended age is 40. So a bulk of my patients were in that age bracket. You find that older women will be more inclined to come on a more consistent basis.
Right.
And of course, those who have already been diagnosed with breast cancer, they come very consistently because they're instructed to do so by their oncologist. But what has really not concerned me, is the amount of younger women coming in to have that screening done and actually getting that positive diagnosis. And we're seeing more of that nowadays. So it's important that the education start early.
Right.
All right? We don't want to start when you're 40 so that women have an understanding of how to do the self-breast exam. I think that should be done in the pubescent stage.
Right.
When you're just starting to develop. and in a way that is not intimidating.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
not. It's just a way, just telling that young lady how to know her body, what she needs to know, and how to identify when something is not right.
Yes. Because I can admit that a lot of the conversation when you're in, I can only speak from my schooling experience. When you're in school, and keep in mind I little old. So when we were in school and there was a lot of talks about breast cancer and things like that, it was never, I would hate to say it wasn't packaged cute.
It wasn't packaged cute.
No, it didn't make me as a young girl feel like, okay, there's something I need to be doing to my already young and growing, changing body every so often. It wasn't given or presented to me as something as simple as, oh yeah, make sure you check behind your ears when you're in, you know what I mean? Like make it something that's so routine that
Well,
it
things
could
have
be something
changed.
comfortable. Right.
Things have changed. I
Right.
had the privilege, and we started our first program was the screening program. And we
Okay.
launched that right in the middle of COVID-19 in 2021 October to be exact. But the following year in 2022, we launched our patient education and engagement campaign, and
Okay.
we did that in partnership with Know Your Lemons, and everything is packaged.
Right.
So you
Right.
can
Know your
reach,
lemons. Right.
You can reach audience at younger ages,
Right.
and it's not off-putting. This is things we can go into the churches, we can go into the school and teach these things. We have an app that anyone can pretty much download, and young ladies can download it as well. It has a an indicator to tell you when you're starting you're going to start your menstrual cycle, because your menstrual cycle also coincides with your breast cycle.
Right.
All right. So
Because of the hormones and everything.
exactly.
Got you.
Right. So it has all of those things that can help a young lady navigate through those developmental challenges.
Okay, I love that. I love that. So we're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we come back. We're going to talk more about breast health and education here in Grand Bahama.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jason.
And I'm Cheryl. Join us here on Superior Talk Bahamas YouTube channel every Tuesday at 6 for Let's Talk.
Where we talk about issues that matter to you. We try to come up with workable, practical solutions so we have more action and less talk.
See you on Tuesday.
Oh. And we are back. Sorry about that, but we are here with Islandish Podcast with the lovely Nikeia Watson talking all about women's breast health as well as education. Now, we were talking about Know Your Lemons and how they were able to really step it up when it comes to what you call the patient education.
Correct.
And how they were able to package it in a more cutesy way, because the pamphlets, they never used to be that cute. But I love the way they have the lemons, and they have the lemons in the carton or in the little chart showing you the different signs, like if it's a little reddish, if it's a little this, if it's a little that, the things that you could check for. What are some other changes that young girls and young women can make, lifestyle changes that could help them when it comes to breast cancer?
Well, first of all, you don't want to start. There are certain things that you can control and certain things that you can't.
Right, of course.
Okay, so let's talk about the things that you cannot control. So you can't control your breast density, and unfortunately, breast density puts you at a higher risk of breast cancer.
Okay.
You can't control your genetics. Okay, and you can't control the overall composition of your breast. These things you can't control. But you can't control. Oh, and you can't control your age. So
Right.
as you go older, you're gonna be more prone to getting breast cancer. You're at a higher risk as you get older. You can't control that. When you start your menstrual cycle and when you finish your menstrual cycle, those things you cannot control, and that's very important because estrogen is what puts us in that high category for getting breast cancer.
Okay.
And so if you start your menstrual cycle early, that means your body is being affected by estrogen on a monthly basis. And if you have your menstrual cycle for a long period of time and you go into menopause late, that means every month, year upon year,
Right.
you don't have any children, so that means your menstrual cycle never stopped. That also increases your risk.
Oh,
So just making sure you're aware of these things, so that you can put yourself in a better position.
Right.
So have those kids, have them early, breastfeed,
All those good stuff.
all of those good stuff.
Boy, anyway.
But now there are things that you can't control, like
Okay.
your weight,
All right.
tobacco consumption, alcohol consumption. These are things that you can control, and we want to introduce healthy lifestyles to young women, so it's easier for them to maintain good breast health with the things that they can control.
Okay, great. You also mentioned earlier about a survey that you guys are conducting right now. Would you like to talk about that a little bit?
Sure, of course I would love.
Yes, this amazing survey, and you guys are giving away a sweepstakes with it as well.
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Yes, we are. So our focus this year, first, let me start from scratch. When we started this organization in 2021, we started from scratch. No money, nothing, no name recognition or anything. We simply made a call. Anyone in the community needs assistance with getting their mammograms. And the first group of people, specialized group of people that actually came to our organization were all cancer survivors.
Okay.
All right. And so in our first year, we were able to screen 107 women just starting from scratch. I don't know how we raised the funds because everything was closed down, but it was only the grace of God. Okay, in our second year, we were able to screen 223 women, and we were able to do that by having targeted screening campaigns. We were starting to slowly come out of lockdowns.
Okay.
And so it was just a little bit easier for us to do some fundraising. And so our first targeted screening campaign was the Kidney Center.
Okay.
And just this year, we repeated that campaign again, and we were able to screen 60 women out of the Kidney Center.
Love
and we
that.
followed that up with the East End Initiative,
Okay.
recognizing that East End was devastated by
Yes.
Hurricane Dorian, and we wanted to make sure those women were not putting proactive health care to the bottom of the list because they
Right.
have other things on their mind. We also screened disabled women, and then last but not least, we went right back to our base, which was our cancer survivors.
Okay.
And so last year, we set a goal of screening 500 women. Unfortunately, we did not hit that goal because, like I said, it's a journey.
Right.
And unfortunately, our progress in that journey is determined by whether or not we can raise the funds to complete the course, to complete
Right.
the race. And
Right.
sometimes we're not successful.
Right.
This year, we're going to repeat that target. We're going to put that 500 women back up there. We're not going to move past that until we actually hit it. And it's very important that we do hit that target because back in 2016, when we had Hurricane Matthew, we were doing about 500 women in the public system. So
Wow.
it was important that we match that.
Right.
So we show like a U curve coming out of this stagnant.
Back to where you picked
Right.
up off. Yeah.
We're trying to get to 2,000 women overall annually on a standard. That's the goal. Annually every year to screen 2,000 women. But we know we're not going to get there in one shot.
Right.
Incrementally, step by step, year by year, we build on that until we get there through education and making sure women are aware of what's available to them as far as screening and access to mammography services. So the survey really is to measure what are the challenges now,
Okay.
what are the difficulties that women are having. We did do a preliminary, like a test
Okay.
in the summertime, and we just surveyed about like 350 persons.
Okay. That's a nice little pool.
It's a nice little pool. And what we found that a lot of the persons were saying that it is finances,
Yes. Cost.
cost. And that was followed up by having access to screening sites. They don't know
Where
who
to
can
go.
help them, where to go. And then last but not least, it was fear of the exam, fear of the diagnosis. So we're doing a wider scope survey right now. We are offering an incentive to persons who take that survey, and we're offering a weekend getaway at Warwick Hotel, which is all inclusive.
Yep.
So we're going to feed you.
I saw that. It's 2 nights at the Warwick, and
That's
then I
right.
think it's like a food fest or something going on too. And you
Atlantis.
Get tickets.
Atlantis is having their food festival, and so you'll be
Yep.
able to attend the last 2 nights, Saturday and Sunday. The Saturday event is like a grill and chill,
Okay.
and a Shaggy concert. I
Okay.
can't remember what's on Sunday, but
It can
just
be fun.
just to see Shaggy alone, I'm in.
I know, right? I love it. I love it.
I don't know what they serve. I don't care what they serve.
Yeah. So anybody can fill out the survey, right? Men
Anyone-
and women.
Men and women, anyone can fill out the
Okay.
survey. And another reason why we're doing the survey is to measure the public's willingness to support breast health.
Right.
Okay? Like I said, we're not going to get to early detection if we don't have an infrastructure in place to support that. So we want to make sure that we have consistent donations coming in so that we can meet our screening targets.
Right.
So while I understand and I know, and we don't want to take away from breast cancer support groups, we know the public is willing to support that. And we've seen them come out strong for that. But are you willing to make sure that that woman has everything that she needs in order to detect that cancer early so that her survival, 5-year, 10-year, 20-year survival rates are increased? Okay? Are you willing to do that? And that's what that's all about. And at what price? What would you donate?
Right. I
Those
saw that
are-
was one of the questions on the survey. How much would you feel comfortable donating every month
Correct.
towards this charitable cause? I think that's an amazing question too. And the price values you had in the question were very reasonable because I pay more than that for my Netflix account. You know what I mean? And when I get takeout, I just don't even see it. Like, you know, when you have money on your account, you fall asleep and wake up, all these charges.
Correct.
It's be like that. So I really feel like that's a good angle and a good way. So I would like us to shift the conversation more to the financial side
Right.
of trying to run this organization, the type of support you have gotten so far in terms of how receptive has Grand Bahama been to Mammogram Access Program on a corporate and community level.
Well, I would love to thank publicly Corporate Bahamas because they have been supporting us. They have been our base so far. The Port Authority has always shown up every time I ask for a donation or if I have a group that needs to be screened. Grand Bahama Power Company has shown up in a huge way this year for us. And the lion's share of our patients that were screened because of Grand Bahama Power. They were the major sponsors for our Be Proactive campaign. And the Be Proactive campaign really was targeting patients in the public sector because we all know that the machine is down right now.
Right.
So we wanted to make sure that those ladies have some avenue of getting a mammogram done. We know that cost is something that prevents women from going in. And
Right.
there is a difference between the public price and the private price. So we didn't want that difference in cost to
Right.
be a reason why you didn't get that mammogram done. So we want to thank them for stepping up and being a major sponsor for 2024. Bahari Bahamas has come up in a major way this year for us as well. Focal has always supported us. So we want to thank those stronghold
Yeah, and
sponsors.
big boy
Yeah.
sponsors. They just write the big boy checks. They step up in the big boy ways. No, for
We
real. And
we wouldn't have gotten this
right,
far
you
without
need
them.
them.
We wouldn't have gotten this far. Now we do get donations from the public,
Right,
but it's not consistent.
right, yeah,
It's seasonal based,
yeah.
and
It goes with the economy.
right, it does.
Yeah.
But we always get those requests, and we don't always have it to
Right.
actually meet the demand. So we're trying to formalize a plan in order to have more consistent flow so that we can meet the demand every month. Every time that woman comes to us and say, I need assistance. And it is quite difficult.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit more about some of the difficulties you sometimes come into contact with as it relates to Mammogram Access Program. But before we get to that, we do have to take a commercial break. So if you want to hear the answer to that question, make sure you don't go nowhere.
Yo, what's up, Bahamas? My name is Andrew Williams, aka Cat,
And I'm your boy Mix.
and we're representing Off the Bench, the number one talk sportcast in the Bahamas.
In the world, my boy.
My bad partner. So
Yeah.
we cover anything sports throughout the Bahamas. We cover our Bahamian athletes wherever they are, and they're making waves in sports. We cover them.
Hey, just tune in to us every Wednesday here on Superior Talk at 6 o'clock p.m.
The number one talk show in the
In the
world.
world, Craig.
Yes, welcome back to Islandish Podcast, and we are here with the lovely Nikeia Watson, Miss MAP, okay? Miss Mammogram Access Program, talking all about her amazing nonprofit organization. So let's get right back to where we left off. What are some of the struggles or difficulties you have running a nonprofit organization? Because it's not the same as running a entrepreneur business or an endeavor where you just selling a product or a service. So what are some of the difficulties you have with running an MPO?
Definitely funding.
Okay.
Funding is always a difficulty. Getting the word out to patients when we do have funding. Sometimes marketing is always an issue for me. I don't necessarily have time for it, and I don't have any money to pay for it.
Right, yeah, yeah.
So I really enjoy and I really appreciate platforms like this that gives me a mic and an audience that I can speak to, and I don't have to pay for it.
Yeah, man, you know this free. I got you, girl. You good. You straight. You straight with me.
But
yeah.
funding is always the issue, and there's ebbs and flows. There are periods when the demand is high and the money is low,
Right.
and we incur a backlog. And of course, I don't want to keep a woman waiting.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
Cancer is a time sensitive issue. So when I do get a backlog, then I have to really go out there and hustle. And of course, I have a full-time job.
Right.
This is not my main focus. I would love for it to be my main focus.
Right.
To get MAP in an area where it is able to sustain itself and pay a salary so I can focus on it 24/7.
Right.
But it's just not there. So I have to balance. Usually I go to bed like around 1, 2 o'clock in the morning.
Miss Watson, you couldn't tell me this was in your full-time job. Well, every time I see you, you have on something MAP related or breast cancer related. You always doing something. You always signing up for a class. You always there with me at these meetings. You was beat to everything you can try to get to this. Like, my organization need this money. And that's one thing I can say about you.
No, my
especially
patients
with this.
need the
we need to
service.
get this mammograms done. This backlog needs to be unbacklogged, and we need to get to this. So with that being said, do you have a team of persons with you? Do you have other volunteers that work with you at MAP, or how do you reach out to get volunteers, or do you even need more volunteers in your organization?
I do have volunteer educators. They would have taken the training with Know Your Lemons, our partners. And so they have all the tools they need to go out into the community to teach breast health.
Okay.
The problem is they will identify patients that need the mammogram, and we may not always have that cash on hand. So that's one drawback. I do have a board, a very dedicated board. They've been with me since the start, and just slowly I'm starting to build a team of persons who live in the community, who see the value of what I'm doing, and they're willing to give their time to a point, of course.
Right.
They're willing to give some of their time and their expertise in order to propel this organization forward. At some point, I would like to be in a position to actually compensate them so that we can really put this machine, this train on the track and really cover some mileage. For this year, if I had to break down the value of money that is needed into actual mileage, we would have to cover, we'll have to cover 38 miles, where each dollar equals a foot. Okay?
It's a lot of feet.
I know.
Yeah.
But like I said, a journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. And I don't want to devalue that step forward.
Right.
Because that's one step forward to our goal. When I look at the times when I didn't hit my target, I gotten very depressed and very down on myself because I'm a very goal-oriented person. But then I would have very positive and optimistic persons around me that would say, listen, you're pretty much doing this by yourself.
Right.
Look at the amount of work you got accomplished with the meager resources that you do have. So yes, you didn't hit the target, but you were pretty darn close.
Right.
And so I have to take all of that into perspective. I would like to have a full team to really put the focus on it so that we can get our early detection. We can get our mortality rate down. We can have mothers now attending their children's wedding and holding their grandchildren. Okay, because when a woman dies and she leaves children behind, that has ripple effects throughout the entire community. We've had 2 patients so far that unfortunately lost their lives to this disease. We weren't able to get them back to breast health. And between the 2 of them, they left behind 5 minor children.
Wow.
That is not the story I like to see play out. Okay, but I can't do that if I don't have the resources to get the word out, to have a team that's constantly pushing towards that objective. By myself, I cannot do it. If I had to walk 38 miles, honey, child.
I love it. And
Meet me on the
talking
corner.
about walking miles, you do have some amazing events coming up next year as well. And one thing I do remember, there's something you said to me, and I held on to it. And I was like, that's powerful, and that's kind of important. You mentioned that you're trying to get it to the point where breast cancer isn't just limited to October.
Right.
Where it's something breast cancer related going on all year round.
Breast cancer is always going to be limited to October.
Right.
All right, but breast health is something that can be pushed all year round.
Right.
So that's why I'm saying to you, we're not an organization that's focused on breast cancer.
It's breast health.
And
overall.
through our initiatives, through our activities, yes, we're going to find breast cancer. The hope is that we're going to find it early.
Right.
But the goal is always to get you back to good breast health.
Okay, great. So how are some ways that some of the persons watching right now, if they wanted to donate or collaborate with you, how can they reach out to you? And what are some initiatives or events you have coming up in the next year or so you would like for them to support?
Well, if you want to donate, you can go to our website, which is map-bahamas.com, and there's a donate button there. We also have Canoe.
Hey.
We also have a Canoe link that we can send to you, and you can donate through our Canoe account. Or you can call us at 8044-MAP. That's 8044-627. If you want to do a bank transfer, we'll be happy to furbish that information for you as well. You can reach us on WhatsApp. We have our Facebook page. Please like and share that Facebook page. And if you take the survey and you like us on Facebook, Instagram, or our YouTube channel, you get extra entries for that. So just for doing those two things, you're able to get 5 entries into that sweepstakes. And if you were so generous to leave us a donation, I don't care if that's $1. Okay, because like I said,
Everything adds
every
up. Every
foot
step
is closer to our goal. All right. So if you were to do that, we're going to give you 5 entries. So you have the possibilities of getting 10 entries.
Okay, in order to win
In
the
order
little
to win.
night for 2. Okay, I like that. That's not something I ain't gonna lie. I hope you're all entering your own. I plan to enter mine. I did one already. I have a couple other emails and Facebook accounts, so
You can access that sweepstakes through our Facebook and Instagram account, and that's Map Grand Bahama. Or you can just go to mapsweepstakes.com and you can fill that out.
Awesome. So I love the fact that your program is focused on a specific issue, and I also like so much education, everything that you had to offer and everything that you shared and talked about. So is there anything else? I feel like it's something we were supposed to talk about that we didn't get to. What it is, Nikeia?
Only our initiative to screen 500 women in
Right.
2025.
Other than that,
that is the
else.
big push.
Boom. That's it.
That is the big push.
500.
We have to hit that. We have to.
This is the last time. When was the last time the Bahamas was scanning at that level? I think you said a year.
Well, I only have data. I don't have data based upon the entire island, but this is what I can say. Prior to Hurricane Dorian, there were 3 working machines on this island.
Okay.
Now, as we sit here and have this conversation, there's 1.
Only one machine that could do proper detection.
Right. The data that I have is data coming out of the public sector. Like I said, 70% of the population is uninsured, so they would actually rely on that service more than any. Okay, and in 2016, they were doing about 500 women. That's around the time that Hurricane Matthew came in, and we're trying to get it back to there. We
Not even
haven't.
Dorian, Matthew.
Matthew. By the time as we got to the Hurricane Dorian, we were doing like about 200 patients.
Okay,
When I
yes.
started my career, we were doing 2,000 patients. So that's a 90% drop.
Right, yeah. That's a big drop.
That is a big drop. And my customer base, my patient base, my client, the patients that I serve are those public patients. Those are the most vulnerable in this community. Those are the persons who
They don't have it.
They don't
and
have
they
it.
need it.
And we're looking at some of the data and some of the information coming out in the news about the cost of living. And what hurricanes have taught me is that when shelter, food, clothing, and educating those children are on the list of priorities,
Everything else.
then proactive health ain't on the list. It's
Right.
not on the paper. All right? Until you find something.
Right.
And usually at the time you find that lump in your breast, you're around a stage 2, a stage 3 or a stage 4. At a stage 3, your 5-year survival rate has dropped to 75. At a stage 4, it's down to 25.
Wow. That's some scary statistics when you really think about it, especially when you think about the population and the amount of people. So, It's the amount of persons, and even you see it almost every October, the amount of lives and families that are impacted by breast cancer, for us to realize that this is something that really needs to be addressed. And a conversation about breast health needs to be an everyday conversation.
I feel for any family that's going through the whole cancer walk. And this year, my family became one of those families, as my father has been diagnosed with prostate cancer. So whilst I'm fighting the good fight for women in breast cancer, I'm also trying to support my dad. And it's been a hard walk. So I understand the struggle that families go through when they get that diagnosis.
Yeah. It's be rough, it's be tough, but it's amazing work that you're doing, you and your team, for the island of Grand Bahama, because you only service Grand Bahama for right now.
For right now, I would like the opportunity to branch out and service women in Abaco. I have gotten some patients coming out of Abaco, but they would have to come here.
Right, because the machine
The machine is here. Now, prior to Hurricane Dorian, I would fly over once a month, and I would screen women out of Oscal Advanced Medical.
Okay,
but
cool.
they lost their machine in Hurricane Dorian. We haven't been able to get a working machine on the island since. So,
what's the average cost for one of those machines? Do you know?
It really depends on what you're getting. If you're getting a standard 2D machine, you could pay somewhere between $100 to $125.
Okay,
for
$1,000.
$1,000.
Yeah, not $125.
No. And then you also have to factor in things like your service contract, which can run you anywhere from $15,000 to $25,000, depending on who your vendor is.
Right.
Okay, so it's not a cheap undertaking.
Right, it's an investment.
It is an investment, but it's a worthy investment.
Right.
You have to understand that when you are diagnosing breast cancer, before you can get to the stage of a biopsy, you're usually going to go through 2 forms of diagnostics. Okay, and most likely it's going to be mammogram and ultrasound. Okay, so you need 2 verifications for a doctor to say, hey, this rises to the level where we have to go in and physically take a sample. Okay, you're not going to do that off of one modality. You're usually going to need 2.
Okay, so that's why it's so important for the early detection and for it to be detected as quickly as possible.
Correct.
And for the need for the machines.
Correct.
So the money you're raising or the work you're doing is to help women get tested and also pay for more machines, or is it only to help women get tested?
Right now we're just doing testing. We have to meet the needs on the ground. They're very palpable needs. At some point, I would like to see my organization get to the point where we have our own machine and we can be more proactive, more active in screening. But that's not where we are at the time. But we have to make sure that that woman who is in this community right now and has a symptom, that she has access to screening so she can get her diagnosis and get treatment as quickly as possible.
I love it. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me this evening. This was an amazing conversation and very educational too. I like that you're focusing a lot on the research side of it, not just the cancer and treatment and these are the symptoms and the science side of it, because you're you are getting ahead of the problem and you're basically trying to find a solution before it even has to get to treatments and money and insurance and all these other things. So as we start to wrap up the show again, can you let them know again how they can reach out to you and your website and all that wonderful information?
Okay, my website is map-bahamas.com. You can take the survey at mapsweepstakes.com. And of course, follow us on all our social media handles, Map Grand Bahama on Facebook, Instagram, and on YouTube.
Okay, so this is another amazing episode here on Islandish Podcast, talking all with Nikeia Watson about MAP, that's Mammogram Access Program. You guys, make sure to save the tatas and know your lemons. Later.